The dev said, I will delete all socials, I will delete all telegrams, and I'll rug this community. Spent time with family, looked at the chart, and it was at 20 million.
Billy is currently the largest meme coin on Pumpdotfun. Hi guys, and welcome to What's the Meta. I'm your host, Ryan S. Gladwin, and I'm here with Min, an early investor and now key member of the Billy community takeover. How are you, mate?
I'm doing good. I don't know if we want to use the word key. There's so many people that are key. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
For those who don't know, Billy is a meme coin created on Pumpdotfun. It had a bit of a shaky start. The dev quickly sold basically all of his tokens, and the community took over in what we now call a CTO. And it went pretty well. At the time of recording, Billy is currently the largest meme coin on Pumpdotfun. Is that correct?
One of them, I think.
I wrote a piece this morning, and yeah, I think it's about 60 million ahead of Michi at this point. Take me back to the very beginning, man. From my understanding, you invested very early on while the dev was still involved. Why did you invest? And when?
It's funny because you said it's the number one meme coin from Pump.Fun in terms of market cap at this point. Today, I'm not really looking at like the price of Billy in terms of like all of that, even though that's really how it started. If you're in meme coins, if you're trading, if you're in crypto, period, a lot of people come for money, to make money. And so that was my initial intention with buying Billy, right? Just on my phone. My family and I were in Mexico, and we actually were smoking like some cigars, right? Before smoking it, I had bought Billy, I think 600,000 market cap. And before smoking the cigar, I sold like a good amount at like 1.5 million. Spent time with family, looked at the chart, and it was at 20 million, which is absolutely insane. That's like one of the dreams of like a meme coin trench warrior, to have that experience. So at first it started out as price, like that was my entire focus. You want to go back to the beginning of how it all really started with the CTO, right?
Just before you briefly get onto that, the first amount of money you put in, what was your thought process? This is a cute dog. Is that sort of the main thing you were going for?
It was literally, this is a cute dog, and there wasn't much more to it.
Yeah.
This is a cute dog is a better investment thesis when it comes to meme coins than 99% of other things you see out there. And in this case, I was lucky and it turned out pretty good.
I love that because I spoke to a hedge fund manager who invested in Dog with Hat really early on and made a good amount of money. And I asked him, like, what was it that made you want to buy this one? And his answer was, it had a hat.
I caught Dog with Hat at 1.5 million too, because the dog was cute as well. And then I got married. We had our honeymoon, came back, and it was, I forgot that I bought it actually.
At what point did it sort of start to go wrong with the dev? When did the dev show signs of leaving and wanting to get out of there?
So I actually had no idea about the dev at the beginning, the first few days, when it ran up to like 65 million, which is crazy. Like the next day, driving back from Mexico across the border, I started recommending people to buy into Billy. I think it was at like 10 million, 20 million. I said, this has legs. This has potential to be something else. And I'm just looking at the TA, I'm looking at the chart. I'm like, this is a good place to enter. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about the narrative really. I just was looking at the chart. And then it dumped. It dumped like, I think 30% from when I recommended it to friends. And I was like, what the hell is happening? So I finally go on Twitter. I look up Billy and I see all this drama about the original dev that started the coin. And it's funny we call them devs. They're really just degenerates, clicking a few buttons. Picked a great dog though. But I think this is the beauty of it, where it becomes so much more than just like a token or the chase to make money. The dev at the time was using the leverage of Billy to say that he was the dev of Billy to create other coins and then talk about them in the Telegram, on Twitter, whatever it may be. And so there was a group of people that were like, who were also invested in Billy, who said, hey, if you check the blockchain, one, you don't have that many tokens left, if at all. And two, you're just leveraging this for your gain. In the path of that, you're hurting other people that are a part of the Billy community, if you can call it that at the time. Really, it's just a bunch of holders that wanted the price to go up, right? And those people didn't like what this guy was doing. And so in that instant, Lexa Pro, who's the guy who verbally called him out on Twitter, basically gave all these facts. And the dev said, if you don't apologize publicly, if you don't shush up, then I will delete all socials, I will delete all telegrams, and I'll rug this community. So it's up to you.
What were the allegations from Lexa Pro? Like what was he saying on Twitter that made the dev react like that?
He just said, like, you're leveraging, creating Billy to start these other tokens and pump these other tokens. Optically, if you're looking at buying into Billy, you're like, why is the Billy dev doing this, right? If you are the original dev of Billy and Billy is so successful in that short period of time, if you can call it that, why would you need to start other tokens? right?
Were those other tokens succeeding?
They were definitely getting a percentage of Billy's success at the time. Let's say Billy was 65 mil. If the dev creates another project, it has some allure of success to it, right? So when it comes to like Pumpdotfun tokens, it definitely helped. But every time it helped, it would take away from the Billy community.
So then the dev threatened to delete all socials, and then what happened?
Delete all socials, which were horrible, by the way. The memes were not funny. And the dog actually, he somehow made the dog, who was absolutely very cute, uncute. As Lexa Pro put it, it was a catalyst. It was a future catalyst. And this is where really when I started to give a fuck. In crypto, I think there's three main things. There's sovereignty and freedom, like full powerful ownership. There's culture building. And what I find the most important, more important than money, is the friends we make along the way. More like if you want to think about it macro, just the ability to connect with other people. It's like how you and I are talking, Ryan, just through like a similar interest, which is really cool. In this moment, it became from I want to make money to something much greater. It's I want to see this meme succeed. I want to see Billy succeed because it has so much potential. And the people that came together, it's like video games back in the day. You would do a quest together, and those you would think were your friends for life. Like sometimes those people can be closer to you than your real life friends because you shared this like similar bond, this similar challenge. And so that's the juncture that it went from like caring about price action, all that, into something bigger.
It's almost like a weird trauma bond in a weird way, getting abandoned by your dev and everyone came together in like a community movement. That happens. The trauma bond happens. How does a community takeover actually work in terms of, is it 5, 10, 20 people in a Telegram chat saying, okay, we'll make this chat, make this Twitter account? How do you like assign roles and stuff like that?
I think the beauty of Billy is that one reason that drew me to it and to actually care about it from a community takeover standpoint is the quality of people inside of it and the amazing talents that everybody could bring in their own ways together. And that was really fascinating. It's actually like what drew me to like NFTs in the beginning. It's like a group of people that have very niche talents and finding ways to bring it together to make something that everybody unanimously cares about the best that it can. So that's just like a really fun quest.
I'm just interested how CTO organizes itself, right? Because there's no established hierarchy. How do you establish who has the last say on something or who has the first say?
It's like a school project. Right? The teacher isn't like, all right, person A, you are the leader. You are responsible solely for the success of your presentation. It's 4 people, and somehow they have to find ways to work together to finally present something at the end of the class or the final.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as like a basketball team. Leaders develop just based off of who wants to put more effort, who wants to put more time. It's a collaborative effort, like an ever-changing amoeba, which is really cool.
After a certain point, there becomes like a core group of people who are involved in the CTO. If I decided tomorrow I wanted to invest in Billy and become part of the CTO, can people work their way into the CTO group? How does that process work?
I would say there's definitely a couple people who are more administrative. It's funny because now it's like a very tight-knit group of people, and there's like a level of trust that's been developed over a month, which is like speed running human relationships.
How many people are in this tight-knit group that you just mentioned?
Depends. I would say maybe 20 to 100. And the reason I give a range is because some people are more active than others. They give what they can, which is why everybody cares, right?
And then inside that group of 20 to 100 people, what sort of roles exist there? Are there people that are like purely Twitter shillers, other people who are working deals to get Billy on billboards?
Yeah, like I can talk about it from my experience. My biggest strength is media production and marketing, understanding Twitter to a degree. For me, it would be like we set up this really fun campaign activation inside of LA, and then we think of like the videos that my team can create. I think it's everybody has their strengths, which is one reason why I really wanted to participate and focus on Billy. I wouldn't really say it's Twitter shilling to a degree, but like people who have strong networks, have voices that people care about, people that have an understanding on how to get listed on centralized exchanges, how to make memes, how to run a Twitter account, understanding the psychology of people and seeing how we can emphasize that Billy will go to billions.
Maybe to draw from your own experiences here, what's sort of the biggest thing that you've worked on within the CTO? Like you mentioned these billboards and stuff like that. What's sort of like the biggest and most challenging thing you've had to do so far?
I guess the biggest challenge of any CTO, any meme coin is longevity, right? Because a lot of these things, they last for a day, they last for a week. And Billy's been around for almost a month now.
Do you think Billy has longevity? What's giving it longevity?
The analogy that I like to use, we saw this around like ordinals and and runes as well, is that a lot of people would jump in and try to extract immediately without first trying to learn the language, understand the culture, and see how they could give thoughtful input. So I think Billy was first like the newcomer on the street, and people saw the memes. And the moment that it became, I think if we just want to look at data, after the 3 to 7 day mark, if it survives that long, I think it has staying power. Yes, I think Billy has staying power because it means something more than just a cute dog, right? It like was the only coin alongside like Mog and maybe Pepe at the time, and Popcat maybe, and a few other coins that actually fought against direction of majors, right? Like when majors were dumping, when Solana was dumping, there was only like a handful of tokens that were actually going the opposite direction.
Those type of gains was sort of what put it on my radar. I'm checking the markets every day at this point, and Billy always, in those market lulls, Billy was always kind of popping up on doing like 40% over a week or something crazy. And it was like, oh, okay, should probably be paying attention here.
The moment a coin or a project or a collection makes you not want to sell, but instead wants you to accumulate tokens or accumulate NFTs or whatever it is, are the most powerful projects, most powerful collections, because the mindset of I want to make money, I can't wait to sell this, I can't wait to flip it, versus fuck, when it hits its first billion or whatever, then I have to take some profit. But I love my tokens, I don't want to give them away, right? Billy's actually like the 5th token that I've sent to my ledger. Sending a meme coin to a ledger is like a very funny concept.
Yeah, it is now I think about it. Could you take me back a little bit to that moment when the dev was deleting everything and was getting rid of everything, and the Billy token was crashing? Everyone was worried. What was the community reaction? How were people feeling about the token?
It went from fear and panic to, oh my God, this is an opportunity, and kind of like a hoorah, rah, rah moment. So it was really cool. It was like 300 people in Telegram just like trying to give their input. 300 people that are all unmuted, Ryan.
Yeah.
And you can't see each other's face. So you can't see when someone's about to speak. So it was just a cluster. But actually, everybody became pretty organized in that moment. And then people started to aggregate to different groups and did what they wanted to do. The moment went from fear and panic to immediate, this is opportunity, this is exciting, this is a bonding moment, and this is the moment that Billy actually has a chance to go to billions.
Do you remember where you were when you were in that 300?
I actually remember exactly where I was. I was getting a haircut and I was texting my wife. I was like, you got to get into Billy. There's this triangle. My wife is a great trader. She's actually a better trader than I am. So there's a triangle, right? And I was like, look, if it breaks out of this triangle, I like the risk to reward here. Right after I sent that text, and I sent that to other friends as well, it literally broke down because I like the risk to reward. And the reason it broke down was because of this whole shebang. But thankfully, the haircut was taking a long time. So I had time to look at everything going on and was like participating in the Telegram chat while I was getting my haircut.
Did your barber say anything about it?
No, she's seen me do all kinds of things while I'm getting my haircut. So she probably just saw the dog a lot and was like, oh, okay.
Kind of cute. Yeah. What was it that made that Telegram call so special?
It was just like a shared emotion that I described, from panic to confidence and excitement. I think every single person in that Telegram felt that. Maybe some more panicked than others, some more excited than others. That shared trauma, that shared experience and challenge to overcome, that made it very exciting. The idea of winning together as a team is one of the most exciting things. Like, yeah, like an MVP trophy is pretty cool, but nowhere is it as powerful as winning a trophy for your country.
Yeah. Is Billy your country?
Billy is Billy my country. I don't know. It's a sovereign state, but tax-free, by the way.
The thing with CTOs, I see a lot of talk about them online, especially on Pumpdotfun. I'll see a CTO happen, and in the thread, people go, no, this is a terrible CTO team. This isn't who you want running this token. What makes a CTO team bad?
You either have it or you don't. Brother, if we want to look at data, right? Like Michi, I think, ran to 100 million. And in between Michi and whatever was the next coin to run to 100 million, which was Billy, I want you to guess, how many coins do you think were launched in between that period?
There's like 10,000 Pumpdotfun tokens launched a day or something ridiculous. So like, I don't know, like 100,000 or something ridiculous.
34 million.
34 million.
The percentage of finding a successful meme plus a successful CTO plus the right people, it's actually really, really small. And even though on Twitter you see like, oh my God, crazy P&L, you see, successful project, whatever it may be, the reality is the chances of it happening is very, very low. So what makes a CTO team bad? I mean, you either have it or you don't. It's either a good group of people or like their skill sets, the ability to work together, common goals, the holders, the holder distribution, the whales, whatever it may be. There's just so many variables that need to be in sync for there to be a success. And that goes with anything crypto.
You're kind of making it sound like a first date. You know, like you need that spark there.
I don't know what my wife would say about comparing.
But you need that spark there, right? It's
You
not
need
just
that spark. You need that spark.
you don't just need good skills and stuff like that. You need to be able to work together as a team. You don't get to choose your CTO partners, right? It just kind of happens.
It just kind of happens. And it was actually the first CTO I've been a part of heavily in terms of just mind space. But yeah, you need that spark. You need those variables to align.
Do you think this is something I've been thinking about for a while? So we've seen this rise of celebrity meme coins and stuff like that as of late, although it seems like it's sort of dying down now. Do you think we could start seeing sort of celebrity CTOs or like crypto Twitter influencer CTOs, sort of imagine Ansem led a CTO? Would that be successful?
I think the most powerful CTOs are pretty like quiet. You want to let whatever you're focused on do the work for itself, speak for itself. So if the narrative is, oh, it's this person is CTOing it and that's the number one narrative, I don't think it will be successful, even with someone who has a lot of pull and influence, impact like Ansem. But if you can do it quietly from behind the scenes and you let the main variable is the potential of whatever you're CTOing. If the CTO people becomes the main narrative, I don't think it'll be successful.
I suppose that kind of feeds into like just the general theme of decentralization within crypto. The idea of a CTO being sort of like this decentralized way of boosting a token rather than, it just being spearheaded by a central point of failure.
I think when it comes to like Ansem as a key player, right, there was a phase and there's still a phase now where like if he spoke about a token, it would automatically perform even better from the moment that he tweeted, if he wanted that or not. And I think like many times he did not want that. It's just how he's always been vocal with his trades. So in a way, him speaking about it is saying like, hey, I'm not a part of the CTO, even though there may not be truth to that. I think to your point, it is very powerful.
It would be definitely a useful thing for a CTO team to sort of bring in someone with a big following on Twitter just to every now and then tweet about them.
But you don't want to like bring in someone like that, right? The person that you want speaking about your project or whatever, if it's organic, it's so powerful. And I think coins that have brought in people specifically to talk about it and to shill it haven't performed as well as ones that have it completely organic. There are, of course, outliers, but for the most part.
I think the meme coin market is like particularly in love with the idea of law and it all being sort of legit and checks out sort of thing. I think that's part of what people are struggling with when it comes to dog with hat. They wanted to put dog with hat on the sphere, didn't they? I think from that point, people are still waiting for the dog to get on the sphere. And it's sort of, how long are we going to wait for this? When and if that does happen, that will be a huge law point that dog with hat will take to the grave kind of thing. And it will be amazing. Yeah, I think until that moment, I think we're struggling on that law point. If there are good CTO teams and bad CTO teams, do you think we'll ever see a professional CTO team going about and say the Billy team, you feel like you've succeeded, you can keep ticking along and you guys realize we've got a bit more time on our hands. Let's go and CTO this random cat coin. Do you think we'll ever see that happen basically?
I think it's happened before. In the trenches, you would hear this all the time, right? Yo, this was the blah, blah, blah team. They're CTOing this. If that was said, it was like a bullish thing. I never really understood it until now. For example, let's say in 6 months or whatever, I see the same Billy CTO team in another coin. See those people, it's like, yo, that's my squad, right? That lore does run deep. But I think most of the CTO teams, or before CTOs were really a thing, most of the teams that care a lot about a certain meme, but don't really have time or headspace to focus on anything else.
Does it take up a lot of your day-to-day life?
I mean, I just don't really care about anything else. Like when it comes to memes personally, like it's like you only have so much time in the day. And it's the same thing with NFTs or ordinal collections. Like you can only really support one or two, not because you don't want to support the other ones, just because we're human and only have so much time and energy in our brain.
What do you think Billy represents?
From the outside perspective or internally?
To you?
For me, it represents crypto, like the crypto experience, the optimal crypto experience. you work on something with other humans, you have fun doing it. Everybody's able to decentralize, build it by bringing together their talents. And then hopefully everybody can make some money along the way while having fun. So that for me is like this the perfect crypto experience.
What do you think's unique about Billy? Because from the outside, it's just another cute dog, right?
Again, I think it's just the culmination of variables that come together that make this like intangible being unique. So yes, on the face, it's Billy's a really, really cute dog, but it's just everything else that goes into it. The lore, the people, who's behind it.
Do you know much about the actual dog?
Yes. Well, not really. Kind of.
What one? Do you know, is it really called Billy?
His name is not actually Billy.
What do you know about this dog? Like, is it like a...
I think it's a Labrador.
Do you know of like the owner or anything like that? Do they know the meme coin exists?
I'm not really sure, actually. It's just a really cute dog.
Yeah, I just always wonder from the perspective of the owners. On Twitter one day, and I saw a picture of my dog. I'd be like, oh, that's my dog. And then suddenly you notice it's all these memes about it. Just sort of to look forward into the future. What is the future of Billy? Where do we see Billy going in 5 years' time?
Billions. I just hope that like it continues like as like we hit different price milestones. I hope that the original holdership and community that was behind Billy since the beginning stays to some capacity. Like, yeah, take profits along the way up as we reach whatever goals. But I hope that core community, no matter how big your bag might be, stays, and that culture always stays, that it doesn't become like a corporate meme, and that the culture is like always there. For example, with Bonk, like I think a lot of the people that were originally there are still there to some degree, but I hope that never leaves. And maybe at some point you can't control that, but we've seen it with NFTs as well. Like when something was 1 ETH and when something was 100 ETH, like the holdership looks different.
Are you ever leaving?
I would definitely take profits like as we hit certain milestones. Just like my favorite NFTs, there's always like a percentage that I will never sell.
I do always think it's kind of silly when someone gets married to a token completely. You can love a project, but there's a certain point where you do have to sell a little bit. Like the Dogecoin Millionaire is the main one that I always think of.
Everybody says profit is profit, don't round trip. Completely agree with that. But at the same time, like if you want to make 100x, 1000x, you need to be
Yeah, locked in.
Like my favorite ordinals, I was able to hold for like 100x or whatever it may be, just because I didn't want to sell it. You have to be redacted enough to hold it, but you have to be smart enough to know when to sell. So for me, my goal when it comes to making profit on Billy is definitely to make profit along the way. But that's like my third objective with this whole Billy thing.
What are 1 and 2?
Perfect crypto experience and just learning from other people and giving up my time and energy to try to support it how I can.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your time, man. And hopefully Billy makes it to billions.
Dude, hopefully that everybody has fun along the way.